Livestream app embedded on there. I'm Northstar. I'm the MC for this evening. We are here for the AIDS Healthcare Foundation HIV AIDS Awareness Poetry Slam. This is the youth final event. All right, I'm going to bring our two poets up here in a second. We've got two artists competing for the top spot. I'm going to bring them up here in a second and introduce them to you. Now, before I do that, though, I just want to let you guys know, this right here is meant to use spoken word, use artistic expression to spread awareness about AIDS and HIV here in our community. And not just in Fayetteville, Hope Mills, where we're broadcasting from right now, but across the state of North Carolina, across the eastern seaboard, across the country, across the world. The AIDS Healthcare Foundation, they are a global organization. They're self-sufficient, and they're really the only nonprofit out there that deals with this that can say that. Our organizer for this area, Art Jackson, he'll be coming up in a little bit, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about some of the stuff that they have going on, probably give you some figures and statistics, and then we'll go into the Poetry Slam. Now, the way that we do this is loosely based off of the NPS, National Poetry Slam, rules for conducting a slam. We've modified it a little bit to suit what we're doing here. We're only doing 2 rounds, and from there, if we have a tiebreaker, then we'll do a 3rd round. I'll go into those rules here in just a moment. All right, but whoever takes the top spot from here, they've got a couple good things coming towards them. Both of our artists are well prepared after the trial by fire during the first night of doing this a couple weeks ago. But this is not the end of the event. Tomorrow night, right here at Cumberland Coffee Roasters, 3109 North Main Street, Hope Mills, North Carolina, we will be doing the final preliminary for the adult category. Now, our youth category is ages 15 to 22. Our adult category is 23 and up. We've already got 4 people from the adult category that will be competing in that final on July 16th. Tomorrow night, we've got a couple more artists from the area, and I can't say for certain, don't quote me on it, but I've heard rumor a couple South Carolina artists possibly coming up to compete tomorrow. The top 3 of those will join the other 4 that are competing in the Adult Slam on July 16th, and after that, the next step is Atlanta in August. But we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second as I introduce the motivator. It sounds kind of corny to say that, but this guy is motivated. He is very passionate about doing this, and he is AHF's motivator and AHF's really big driving force for the state of North Carolina as well as for Tennessee when it comes to doing these events and it comes to getting the word out there for AIDS and HIV awareness. Please turn your attention to Mr. Art Jackson.
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Again, AIDS Healthcare Foundation is the largest provider of HIV care in the world. We have over 427,000 people in care in over 42 countries. And what I love about AHF more than anything is we're self-sufficient. And what I mean by that is we have our own clinics, we have our own pharmacies, and we have our own thrift stores. And 90% of every dollar that we make goes back into care. And only 10% goes towards salaries and everything else. So we have one of the biggest endowments ever for a nonprofit organization, so that we don't take any government money. And because of that, we're able to do a lot of things the way that we like. We have the AIDS and Civil Rights. We're actually one of the only nonprofits outside of the King Foundation that was authorized and got the King Foundation to license us using Martin Luther King's image by AIDS and Civil Rights campaign. I share that to share that last year there were over 58,000 new cases of HIV in the country. Out of that 58,000, 54% of them were African Americans. Out of that 54%, 67% of them were African American youth between the ages of 13 and 24. We're losing this battle, and we don't have to. We need to have more conversations. We need to be more engaged. We need to be more open, and we need to understand that we can't rely on anybody else to care for us. We have to care for ourselves. And this is not just about African American youth. This is about all youth. This is about all people who engage, because it only takes one time to change your life. to alter the course of your life. I believe in spoken word. I believe in the power of spoken word. And I also believe in youth. I believe that, we should encourage. We should be the sounding board to those youth, to allow them to be the best that we could be. One of the reasons why I love this is anytime that I get to work with young people or be around young people, I'm encouraged of all the things that I couldn't achieve. I look at them and know that they can. I look at all the barriers that I faced, and I faced them standing because I was with the hope that they would not have to. And to see them walk through those doors that might have been closed to you and I today, to me, is the most amazing thing. So with that, I'm just going to say, please, please, please enjoy these poets. They are amazing. I want to say, before we even get started, I thank you both. You both have been inspirational to me. You've been awe-inspiring, and I appreciate you both. And sit back and enjoy, and we'll talk to you later. All right.
Thank you very much, Art. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very important thing, and we are very grateful for everybody that has a part in this. I also want to say a personal thank you to, you can't see him off camera right now, we're running one camera angle, but Juan Guadalupe, the owner of Cumberland Coffee Roasters. Oh yes, oh yes. He's been here supporting us every night, everything that we do in the arts community, and especially when I came and talked to him about this, and we talked about establishing the event here. It was something he was really interested in doing. If it means reaching out to the community and possibly making any kind of positive, cohesive difference, Juan's all about that, whether it's personal or professional. So we definitely thank him for what he's doing here. Now, gonna get into the rules. All right. Like I said, the rules for this are based off of the National Poetry Slam rules. We've whittled it down a little bit so as to fit what we are doing here. Okay, first things first, we're only doing 2 rounds. All right. In between the 2 rounds, we're going to take a brief break, and we'll probably have a few. I might get up and do some poetry. We might have some other things happen. I'm waiting to see. Not going to say names for any of you that are watching, but we may or may not have a couple surprises come in later this evening. But with this, slam poetry is a competitive style of poetry. All right. And when you get into that sort of thing, when you mix competition with something that is essentially someone's heart and soul, all kinds of craziness can happen. So, not too long ago, a particular poet was tasked to lead the charge and throw together some rules that he himself may or may not have broken, and may or may not have been the cause for the rules. But throw together some rules to help keep this thing organized and try to keep the judging fair all the way across the board. All right. Now, the first things first. Any poems that were used in the preliminary rounds were off limits until tonight. So, our 2 artists who are competing here, they both shot straight out of the first round of the youth category, and if they wound up having to go through the second round, whatever they did in that first round, they couldn't touch it. They couldn't touch it at all. Not until tonight. Tonight they may revisit it, they may present some fresh ink, they may present some new work. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. What they get judged on is the style of their poetry. All right. Now the style is all their own, but the one thing that we look for is whether or not they incorporate AIDS and HIV awareness into their poetry. All right. If you have seen the Facebook event invites, then you would have seen down at the bottom of the invite, it listed some of the categories and the key points that we're asking our artists to hit on. Some kind of nudge suggestions for them to go off of. But we're looking at that, and we're looking for originality. Now, with originality, this is a big thing here. A lot of us, myself as a spoken word artist, as a performance poet, I'm often inspired by not just our well-known poets, our well-known literary artists, but I'm inspired by musicians, I'm inspired by bands, I'm inspired by the acts I listen to. And I am equally, in some cases, more inspired by the poets around me. Many of the poets around me inspire the work that I do. With that, sometimes giving a nod towards someone else's poetry might mean sampling their work. Giving someone else a nod toward someone else's music might mean sampling their music. All right. Now with music, our artists are not allowed to have any kind of musical accompaniment or instruments. That doesn't mean they can't do some a cappella, but they cannot have any musical accompaniment or instruments. But if they want to throw in a line or a phrase or a song title or a poem title or name drop someone, they can do that as long as they're not plagiarizing. They can sample someone's work, but they cannot take their body of work or even the majority of their body of work. Their work must be original. Now, just like I said, they can't use any kind of music. They are not allowed to have any props. Now, to clarify what I mean by props, what I'm referring to is any item outside of their body that is not available to another artist. For example, I have this chair right here. This chair is available to any artist that comes up on this stage. All right? Any one of them can use that as part of their performance. What they cannot use is their wristwatch. What they cannot use is their cell phone. What they cannot use is their notebook. The caveat to that being, if they're reading from their phone, reading from their book, they're allowed to do that, but the moment they actually incorporate it into their performance, it becomes a prop, and that is not allowed. All right. No costumes. Now this one's always made me laugh. And then I realized some of my own performances in the past. Then I realized some of the poets that I know today. One of our hosts at a Sunday night event, he will randomly disappear from the coffee scene and he will pop back up in a costume. All right, and after thinking about that, it dawned on me, yes, I'm sure there's probably been some slam competition somewhere where someone has probably signed up, got their name in the hat, walked out, and then came back in a costume. No costumes allowed. The way you enter the building is the way that you go ahead and perform. Our time limits. Now, just like with most slams that you might encounter, we have a 3-minute time limit with a 10-second grace period. All right, I'll go into the scoring in just a moment because this works into the scoring. But after you cross that 3 minutes and 10 seconds, you're going to start losing points. For every 10 seconds that you go over, you lose a 1/10 of a point. Now, our judges will not know anything about the time until after the individual performance is done, so as not to affect the rest of the score. If the rest of the performance the judge thought was exemplary, well, then we want that solid score, and then from there, we'll take out the time penalty if needed. Now, as for scoring, scoring is done on a 0 to 10 decimal point scale, meaning you could have 0, 0.5, 5.2, 8.9, or 10 even. 0 being, we didn't think that was so great, but we love you. Thank you for coming out and joining us. Thank you for supporting. 10 meaning, oh my goodness, I want to model my art after you. Or whatever the individual judges think. I can't say. Judges, take whatever I might say about something with a grain of salt. Your score that you give our respective artists is based on your own opinion of their performance from the criteria that I have just mentioned. For our poets, the only say that I have over anything is whether or not you go over time. That is the only influence that I, the MC, have on your performance. Now, if you go over 4 minutes, at that point, I will cut you. Even if you're in the middle of a poem, I will cut your time, I'll cut your performance right there, and we'll take it as it is. We'll see what the judges say, and we'll see what your score is from that point on. Now, in the event of a tiebreaker, in the event of a need for a tiebreaker, considering we only have 2 finalists for the youth category, this is a possibility. All right. In the event that we need to establish a tiebreaker, we will do a 3rd round, during which our poets will not be allowed to do either piece that they perform during the 1st or 2nd round. They can reach back to poems they did in the preliminaries, hint, hint, but they cannot do any of the poems from the 1st or 2nd round. All right. With this, what will happen is each of our poets will perform their pieces, and the judges will simply annotate, after it's done, they'll simply annotate, ranking them 1st, or seconds. We will not know anything about that scoring for a tiebreaker until the tie-breaking round is done. And if we need to keep going, we will keep going until we break that tie. We could feasibly be here for 365 days breaking the tie. I'm not saying we will be. I mean, Juan's got bills to pay and we can't, keep him running, all that time. But I'm just saying, it is a possibility. It is something that we're going to have to work with. Now, our judges have been chosen. They were not announced anything prior, so that way our artists cannot go up and try to schmooze or canoodle or sit there and say, hey, I really like your hat. So what do you think about this poem I might do? You got any? No. We don't want any of that. So our judges were chosen from the available people right here in the crowd. We've got Miss Sylvia Adamsack doing one of our judging scores, and we've also got one of our finalists for the adult category, True Blue, handling the rest of the judging responsibilities. Yeah, that's right. She doesn't like it because I just kind of put attention on her, and that's exactly why I did it, because I know she doesn't like it. It's all right. You're not the only one that gets that. Isn't that right, Stephanie? You're not the only one that gets that. So it's okay. It's all right. Nothing but love. Now, what we do as slam tradition is, before we actually get started, give the judges a chance to warm up and see what they might be up against. Give the poets a chance to see what kind of scoring they might be up against. We bring up a sacrificial poet. Now, the sacrificial poet is called such because oftentimes in slams, you will have a whole bunch of poets performing. There will be no neutral body available for judging. So, someone would then have to sacrifice one of their poems, which, as I said before, a poem that you do that night, it's unavailable, it's off limits for later rounds. They will have to sacrifice one of their poems for the sake of that sample judging. Hence the term sacrificial poet. Our sacrificial poet has done this for us twice in the series so far. He should be used to it, but I don't know, he always gives me mean looks every time I ask him to do it, and that's even more reason for me to ask him to do it. I don't know why he does it anyway, because all of his poems are fantastic. He's part of what I consider to be a new wave of poetry in Fayetteville, where he just kind of stepped on the scene, as far as I was aware, out of nowhere, and really just started doing things and knocking it out the park. Our sacrificial poet for this evening, Mr. Law Bullock.
Surfing through the news has become redundant. The same topics running together, such as Black Lives Matter, as that runs into my cousin's jaw just got shattered. Everyone claiming size and a mental war on skin tone. Yet no one wishes to listen to a story of a child infected with AIDS. Yet we can wonder, when will scientists have our clones marching in the Macy Day Parade? Little Lance just received a life-altering diagnosis. Yet that doesn't matter because LeBron James is still the king that the majority has chosen. Look at me. My skin is a mixture of rock, rap, and R&B. My physical color is not the Facebook topic on the timeline of HIV. We only dare to believe what we can wish to touch and see, so don't be shocked when fake bashing steps to your front door, looking to recruit for a hatred war. Once again, downplay the condition that may cause some life years we missing. It's all cool, right? Especially when there was much to turn our heads away from a social fight. Speaking of fights, I know you saw that last win that Mayweather got, right? Floyd defeats Pacquiao! Yeah, barely anyone notices the increases in outbreaks from the South. Let's not talk about this virus. Yeah, let's all go goofy over another video of a semi-twerking Miley Cyrus. Just believe this got another thug tag. Young Thug still makes no sense. Lil Wayne and Birdman are in divorce court trying to erase the fact they ever kissed. Simply more senseless distractions. We can focus on race, yet fighting for better outcomes, it is not worth the action. Everybody wants to protect necks. Why can't we all just practice safer sex? Even if the virus hasn't found birth, there are still babies thrown in the line of fire still getting hurt. I lost my godmother, but that's not newsworthy. Watching more of my generation toss away their lives truly irks me. Misplaced aggression, combined with warring congressions. Why can't our blessing be God simply sending a suggestion? Everyone searches for an explosion of fireworks of God's face, instead of giving chase down the path that God has traced. We pull away from faith to hide from the obstacles, putting God on the back burner, yet post on Facebook that Kobe once was and LeBron is so unstoppable. I was raised to love God, taught to put back into my community. We have so much positivity, yet for our nation, we've already prepared our own eulogies. Every simple word written through a colored pencil is now considered a civil rights issue. Lack of faith along with backwards racism, just like HIV is a disease. This is not a plea. Just me asking, if we continue walking blind, how can we ever truly be the land of the free?
Thank you very much to the law. Now, judges, get your scores together, please. While the judges are doing that, one of the things that I neglected to mention, I feel bad. This is like my regular forgetting this one part of the rules here. I do this every single time. The clock starts the moment that our artist either opens their mouth or the moment that we can see they've made a connection with the audience. You know, if we're at an event, say we had a full sound system hooked up for this event and we had a microphone right here, they might come up with just a microphone. Okay, all right, got it, you know. Especially, you know, short people like me, tall people like some others out there. I mean, we got to fight the tall people battle. You know, we might adjust that microphone. But after that, I can't have you standing up here for 30 minutes waiting to start your piece. So, I'll give you a second, do your adjustment. The moment you make connection with a laughing judge, make a connection with the audience, or the moment you open your mouth and speak any kind of words, I like picking on my judges, just bear with me. Then that's when the clock starts right there.
Ready.
So, and now my judges like picking on me too.
Yes.
All right, so our score for our sacrificial poet. First we have 8.5, and then we have 9.6. Gives us a total of 18.1. Let's give our sacrificial a round of applause there. And, you know, like the slam poet he is, he was good about staying under score, or staying under time, so we don't have to worry about that. He came in at 2 minutes, 27 seconds. I like that. I like that right there. Good job. All right, now, we're going to move into our first round and our first of the two poets. See, if I remember correctly, when they went head to head against each other in preliminary rounds, I had one of them go first. I'm gonna switch that order up and have another one. And they're back there. They're back there having their own thoughts on that matter, but that's okay. Don't make me change my mind. It's not written in stone. Don't make me change my mind. But we're gonna have our first one go up. Now, this young lady, for anyone who's watching online that has not seen her perform before, they're both new to poetry. They're both new to spoken word. This one here, she started off with more of an acting vibe, more of an acting feel and whatnot. And thanks to some inspirations from some various artists, some of which you can't be here tonight. You know, one of them I hope you're watching online right now. She got into spoken word and she got into doing her thing, and she's coming at it with a fire and a passion that cannot be denied. Please welcome up Miss Tiffany Lewis.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. The number of people concerned with anything outside of their personal lives depletes because we are trying so hard to make ourselves liked, and if it's not a likable problem, then why should we care? But HIV isn't popular. The vast majority of us will never know how it feels to have movies mocking the pain, stand-up acts, it's a joke, to the clowns clowning the suffering. We can't take a situation seriously because we handle everyone else's problems with laughter and fun. But when we catch any wind of the most minor issue, we are defensive against the ridicule. Don't you know that only the majority is allowed to make fun? Only the majority is allowed to judge you? No one's going to say anything about Miss Stacy's 7th marriage, but when you see Mimi walking down the street with the lesions on her face, you can go to church all you want to, and those knees can be bruised from the prayer, but don't call yourself a good person when you instantly judge her. The reaction that we aren't strong enough to bear, but we are strong enough to dish. The reaction that none of us can handle. Weakness is our talent, and strength is our pain. It is easier to believe that Mimi is either a drug addict or a street worker than to accept the simple conclusion instead of opening our stupidity. And yes, it is stupid because we know that over 1,000 children per day are born HIV positive. They start out this world without an ounce of sin under their belt, and we judge them. We mock them and we abuse them, and we make light jokes about the struggle that none of us would be strong enough to survive. We know that that officer that found the HIV positive Matthew Shepard tangled in a barbed wire fence out of hate crime. She couldn't find her gloves, but she couldn't let him die. Now tell me she's either a druggie or a prostitute. Tell me that's a joke. A friend is coughing and we laugh and say, get away, he has AIDS. You know how a dog will die if given chocolate, but we can eat it with no complication? Harmless to us, but fatal to another. That's how our juvenile humor spreads through the communities. What makes us laugh can break another person to tears or worse. And who wants to claim the responsibility for a life? Better yet, who would have the guts to? Who would be willing to? Some of us are too afraid to admit that it was our words who led him there. It was our infliction that caused the reaction that we aren't strong enough to bear, but we are strong enough to dish it out. The reaction that none of us can handle. Weakness is our talent and pain. Weakness is our talent and strength is our pain, because it is easy and weak to watch someone struggle, but it is hard and strong to make a change and take a stand. Thank you.
And the scores are 9.8 and a 9.4. Wow, that is amazing. That gives Tiffany a total first round score of 19.2. And she stayed in well under time, coming in at 2 minutes, 10 seconds. That was a very good job. Very good job indeed. All right. Our next artist coming up is someone that, I push people. I push people. I push people. This young lady, she was a little annoyed in the primary, in the preliminary round, because she sort of kind of didn't know she was going to be doing this. Sort of kind of, slightly in a way. But she got up here and she amazed a number of people. In fact, there were some recordings done of that performance, and they were sent off to certain individuals within the organization who took note of her performance. So, made sure we let her know about that, and she came back up. She was telling me earlier today she's pretty well prepared. She's feeling confident about this performance. In the rest of her artistic career, she's a singer-songwriter, and a pretty good one, but she's coming to you tonight as a poet. Please welcome up Stephanie Alexis.
Hurt, hopeless, searching for a home, because you've started to feel like a tourist in your own body. But this is one vacation you can't escape. There are no tan lines or smiles or postcards with beautiful landscapes. No wish you were here. Only, I wish I wasn't. Your body, once your greatest tool, now a ball and chain. Wars between white and red cells. There are battles beneath your skin, and you're fighting uphill. Because your fists are nothing in comparison to the rage your body is dealing you. Nothing compared to the doctor telling you 6 more months. But you should just keep your chin up, right? Just think positive. Though it's much easier for them to say. They're kicking pebbles, and you're Sisyphus, pushing and pushing and pushing this boulder up the mountain called your life. When is it going to stop? Because your arms are tired, and you can only do this for so long. You dream of a heaven where things like AIDS don't exist, and you've longed for a God that would never allow such a thing to happen. But most of all, you long for normality. Because this life you've been giving is beginning to feel like a dream, and you're a sleepwalker in a world full of marathon runners. You want to give up, but I'm begging you, please, please don't. Hurt, hopeless, searching for a home, because you started to feel like a tourist in your own body.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Let our judges get those scores together. All right, okay. So, for Miss Stephanie Alexis, round 1, scores are 8.9 and 9.4.
Yeah.
Total score of 18.3 for Miss Stephanie Alexis. All right, rock on. Excellent, glad to hear it. All right, folks, we're going to take a brief break. I will back up. I'm going to do a couple pieces for you in just a moment. I want to get a couple things organized. For those of you watching online, hang out with us. Go into the library for the Livestream channel. You can watch some of the past performances going on. Also want to make a mention that we do have some more live streams coming up. This 3rd Sunday, we do our regular monthly live stream broadcast, Job Expressions Live, where our feature artists are going to be for poets. We're going to have Granville Hedrington. We're going to have Prosperous Soul coming in. If you were watching last month, Prosperous Soul, you saw her husband, BJ Clark, on there doing the music last month. But they're coming in, and then, for the music side of the live stream, we have the poet you just saw, Stephanie Alexis, coming up doing a 20-minute music set with us. And then we've got another musical surprise. I'm going to save that one for those of you who tune in and watch. I'll be back here in just about 2-3 minutes. Thank you. All right, folks, and we are back now. We're going to take a little bit of time before we get into that second round, because I think we all need to kind of cool off from what just happened there. You know, I've seen some poetic performances kind of get people stirred up and get people riled up a little bit, but not quite like that. Not quite like that. And this is actually why I enjoy watching some of our newer artists step up and do some things. And I'm glad that we've got some of our newer artists stepping up and doing this slam, along with some of our veteran artists who are doing the adult category, who are doing the adult slam. I'm going to have a surprise guest come up and do some poetry here in just a few minutes. But before I do, I want to take a moment and let you guys know about some of the other events that are going on around the area. We are in the middle of July right now, and what does that mean, especially for this venue right here? Every second and fourth Saturday, we do an event called Hope Mills Unplugged. All right, Hope Mills Unplugged is a music and poetry open mic. On the fourth Saturday of the event, we bring you a poetry or a music feature. We also do a creative writing workshop. Second Saturday, we do straight open mic, but we're looking at probably trying to turn that into a songwriters workshop here in the near future. You know, check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/HopeMillsUnplugged, or go to Meetup. For those of you that are on Meetup.com, look for Hope Mills Unplugged in there, and you keep track of some of those other events, as well as some of the other events that are going on right here in Cumberland Coffee Roasters, which also has its own Facebook page, facebook.com/Cumberland Coffee Roasters. Between myself, Juan, and some of the others who are posting things on there, you keep up with a lot of the other events that are going on. Now, this second Saturday, I mean, Saturdays are busy times here in the Fayetteville area. We've always got something going on the weekends. I always tell people, don't ever tell me there's nothing to do in Fayetteville. Ever. Ever. Don't ever tell me that. I can't stand that. Can't stand that.
There's nothing to do in Fayetteville.
Knock it off. You know, there was, I say this because there was once a time where you had one solid artistic event happening. One. Job Expressions on Sunday nights, previously known as Java Jams. A lot of people don't know that. Job Expressions on Sunday nights, which is currently the longest running weekly poetry and music open mic in the state of North Carolina. It's in its 19th year now. But at one point in time, that was the only regular thing happening in the area for artistic expression when it comes to poetry, music, and other performance arts like that. Not to say that others weren't trying to do things, but a lot of events were just kind of falling to the wayside. However, in the years since that has started, a great many of the artists who are either from this area or have migrated to this area have put in a lot of work and a lot of effort to keep some of these events going and to create some new ones from time to time. Now, the artist I'm going to have come up here is the host of a second Saturday event called Versus. He's also co-host with me on Hope Mills Unplugged. He runs a group on Facebook called Poetry in Fayetteville, wherein he does his best to keep up with all the events going on in the area that involve artistic expression and keep you guys up to date on dates, times, locations, hosts, features, and he's doing all of this while he's getting ready to go to nationals out in Oakland. Please welcome up LJ.
Who this man? How y'all doing? Y'all good? Alright, cool. So I don't know if I'm in the right view of the camera. If I am.
Right there, sir.
Okay, so I'm glad I'm actually here at this event. I apologize for trying to get this gum out my system. But I'm actually here. I finally got a chance to make this event. It's one thing about certain, the word I'm looking for, what's the word I'm looking for? There's one thing about certain aspects in life that I appreciate, is that there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad, which it kind of sounds like it doesn't make any sense, but at the end of the day, everything has to be a balance to be on your Libra scale. I had this thought when somebody I was talking to about this particular event along with other events, and one thing that came out of it was they didn't feel like they wanted to get into this event because they felt that they can have a connection to this event or this type of community. But to me, I've always looked at community just being community as is. There shouldn't be any segregation with community, whether it's the LGBT community, whether it's a certain racial community, whether it's this or that, because community is community. It takes a village to raise a child, so even in that village, there's different aspects in that village. So it's always detrimental that you always support events like this, great things like this, especially for the people that don't have the voice to do all this. So definitely, I thank Art, I thank the foundation for putting this event together. It's definitely good seeing the youth out here doing this, and it's good to push them, support anybody that has a movement, support anybody that has a dream, because the support goes a long way, and always keep supporting that. So that's my public service announcement. I was told I had to do poems, so I shut the job up here, got up here, so I can do that. So, lay next to me is what I told her. This woman that's consumed my mind and time like how men consume liquor at a bar. And we've been together for 3 months. And poets, we have this mindset and mantra that we like to get into when we're on stage. So this night that we're in the bedroom, I decided to bring that there. And I decided to go all in. So, being smooth and poetic, I said I should put some words together so that way she would get into the moment. So I said, baby, come close. Place your head on my shoulder. And let me become your manifested destiny. So she smiles. She licks her lips. And tells me no. Now, men have this switch that clicks on. We say we got to make sure we tune that out because we don't want to believe it in the first place. So I put my finger on her lips and I said, shh. Stop playing. Come close. Place your head on my shoulder. And let me become your manifested destiny. So her eyes started rolling in the back of her head, which means the gears started to turn. So before I could say anything, she stopped me and placed her soft hands on my neck. Looked me in my eyes. Put her lips to my ear. And told me no. Now, there are 3 things wrong with this situation. 1, I'm a male. 2, I'm a Leo. And 3, I'm Jamaican. So that sets up a trinity for a whole bunch of events that's about to go down south from here. So I said, woman, I didn't put up with 30 days of going through your menstrual problems and how you feel this is a false infatuation, nor did I go through 90 days of being with you, because like the McDonald's comes in the back of my mind as a 3. So what you need to do is stop and understand this. Stop playing. Come close. Place your hand on my shoulder. And let me become your manifested destiny. So she told me no. So I said, baby, let me become your manifested destiny. And she told me no. So then I grabbed her, not trying to hurt her because I don't believe in that Joe Jackson type love or anything like that. So let me become your manifested destiny. And she pushes me off and screams out as if the devil has fused something inside her himself. You can't be my manifested destiny because man has infested my destiny. You see, 3 years before there was ever me, there was a relationship with another he, and the simile is something so true because it's birthed inside her, something that continuously grows every day, that being this thing called HIV. So as the tears streamed down her face, I grabbed her. I placed her head on my shoulder. And I told her to let this moment be the thing to cure all your ailments. You may have seen me as a dog, but it is written in the good book that all men are gods. So switch the last and first letter around and see me for what I am, because it is said that God is love. And now she smiles because she has a true infatuation to see the picture of what love could really be. So now, tonight, 5 years later, we lay in bed. Me and this woman that's consumed my mind and time like how men consume liquor at a bar. Is now these arms wrapped around each other like the wrappings of a pharaoh, because this is something we have mummified to last for an eternity. And the infestation in her mind has been extinct. And now and forever, a destiny has been fulfilled. Thank you. I know what it's like to be broken. Awaiting someone or something to come along and fix you. But you're afraid that it may not have the skills adequate to do the job properly. Sometimes I wish I knew if I were really happy. Like, is this feeling authentic or is it more so false evidence appearing real? Tell me what makes me tick. Am I perfectly stitched together with zigzag lines to show you a crooked smile when I only want to project to you picture perfect peace? Sometimes I feel like I'm put together like Frankenstein's monster, but the irony between that and the old school R&B group from the 90s is that I feel like I'm just another bad creation. See, these hands have so many issues that the brain no longer wants to subscribe to them, but I have to ask, are you as judgmental as the folks that you hang around with, or do you feel it is best that you speak upon their behalf? How about you show me a sign that's different from a stationary octagon? Momentary glances at my upper torso resembles the Earth's plane, showing distinctions of when my thoughts shifted, rearranged into new territory to be explored over, and I disregarded the sprites that illustrate me because the world feels that image is everything and thirst must be obeyed. Be afraid when you see me because I don't belong. Then tell me that I'm a freak because I have this heart that's 5 times bigger than the average. Some say that I care too much. I say it's more of a condition that I don't want to change, but I'm used to this muscle hurting when it overextends itself. Leave your beautifully handcrafted remarks for folks that seek that validation, because those are the same folks that hide truth as if it's a blemish on their skin. Share yourself like Rocky Dennis, because a mask will only lead you to portray a role. Forever love all weaknesses and pull those words away from your face so you can see the beautiful flaw that is hidden within the sentence. So you can either be made in his image or you can be made in America. But authenticity will outlast a knockoff at any given time. Trace the scars that are left on you, and you'll see that led you to a place that you already were. Perfect. Thank you. More. All right. So for my last trick, yeah, just keep supporting great events like this. I know tomorrow they have the adult final preliminary going on. So for all you just out there in Outlaw Poet Land, make sure you share this link. Make sure you let people know about this. If you cannot make it here, share the link, pass this on, let everybody know about this event. You in the audience, let your folks know about this event going on. Let's support. I mean, this is your community that we're talking about. So, and this is something that needs to be heard for everybody. You stand on corners making wisecracks. Addictive smart aleck remarks injecting depression into tender veins to get high off of others' misfortunes. Take Richard. The local garbage man who collects articles of trash on his weekly route, I believe it was Tuesday. On this particular morning, he cradles a torn box of kicks and looks at it as if it was the half smiles of yesterday, preserving a memory that was almost lost to avoid a nothing but a trail leading to a never-ending story. So I asked him, why and when did fixations on garbage become your weekly worship? And he replies with a tear that sat on his face for a time equivalent to a hung jury. And he says, don't judge me. See, if life has ever shown me anything, then it's not a problem for you to become today's garbage, a wasted vessel into a voyage of nowhere but into that maelstrom of carnage. So I have to look at today's generation just like I look at today's trash, like they're byproducts, because now they became secondary and unexpected consequences. Then you have Beverly, the former prom queen who now parades around town as men playing condom wrappers like confetti, praising her return. See, her soul yearns for affection, but in these promiscuous episodes, life for her started revolving her favorite morning cartoon because she thought she was a gem. So she's seen how life could be truly outrageous, but then she thought she was a baroness. Mind bending on a gambling love that constantly rolls snake eyes in the search of a G.I. Joe, but yet she finds herself within the midst of these cobras. She comes to this corner barely sober, looking at faces as if she was a ghost holding a grudge, so she crawls and moans out love. If you were meant to be seen, then why do you hide behind false promises and commitments that seem like they're two bushes that tore through a presidency? But she was a fool who rushed in, letting words become an equation and something that will never add up, and a reminder to let us know if we continuously suck at life, that we may swallow the possibilities of what could have been. And at this moment, you have to realize how God put us in the most unexpected settings. He put us with those folks that put their life on balance beams to do their best to not stagger off, and if so, they let us know what not to do when these paths become parallel. These are the same folks that we laugh at and joke upon in the community, but we never celebrate something they said that made us rise above the occasion, like for the older people. when you go to the bar and you see that old neighborhood drunk that staggers in, coming to you slurred in his speech and say, never judge a book by its cover. And from there you start to read into people's true intentions. Or crazy cat ladies who you always see throw cats in the air and they say people are like them because they can fall off the highest obstacle, but we have the ability to land on our own feet. See, these words have became song unsung to these heroes, but we have always been blinded because they could have been angels in disguises coming back to us full circle when we get lost. So this poem is strictly for those people, the unsung heroes. Thank you.
Thank you very much there, LJ. Folks, for those of you who don't know, if you're just chiming in now, you can follow LJ on Facebook, on Reverb Nation. You can also check out, once again, on Facebook, the group Poetry in Fayetteville, which LJ admins. He tries to keep everybody up on all the events going on right there. If you want to support what he's doing with him and the Bull City Slam team to getting out to nationals, again, please go on Poetry in Fayetteville. They'll be posting some of the events, fundraising events that they're doing, where you can go and follow up their events. And for those of you watching, especially those of you who stay in North Carolina, you know, you hear Bull City, you probably know you're talking about Durham. But the thing about the Durham Slam team, they're Durham Slam team, but they're made of people from everywhere except Durham. So the running of the bulls is Fayetteville poets, Wilmington poets, Greensboro poets. You know, they're really a North Carolina team, really, honestly. So you want to support North Carolina poetry, check that out. Fayetteville also has a team going in there, and you go ahead and check them out. They'll be all over Facebook. I'm sure they'll post stuff for Poetry in Fayetteville as well. Please support the arts. Now we're going to go ahead and get back into our second round of the slam. Potentially our final round, assuming we don't wind up with a tiebreaker here. But we're going to get into our second round of the slam. And we're going to go in reverse order. All right, so we had Tiffany, then Stephanie. We're going to have Stephanie, then Tiffany. Now, for anyone that's just chiming in, this is the final for the youth category for ages 15 to 22. This is the final. All right. Tomorrow night, we still have a preliminary. Everyone ages 23 and up who wants to compete in the adult final, which is going to be on July 16th, they need to be here tomorrow night before 7 o'clock so I can get their names, get them in, and then we'll go ahead and we'll run that slam. And when they get to the final, they will be competing against, as I mentioned earlier, Tiffany Rivera, True Blue, Kim Determined, aka D-Dash, as well as Granville Hedrington. All right. For those of y'all who don't hear, we've got some peanut gallery action going on in the back of the coffee shop. Well, really, this is the back. That's the front of the coffee shop. But we got some peanut gallery action going on here, which is always welcome because this is nothing but family here. It's absolutely nothing but family. So, judges, are we ready? Are we ready? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you positive? Only fools are positive. You call you a fool?
What?
Nothing. Smile and nod. Moving on. My judges were picking on me earlier. I got to pick on them now. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm one with the universe.
Performers.
Moving on. Moving on. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you were here. You heard the first round. Some of you who are watching, hopefully you were some of the ones that were here and saw the preliminaries when these two first went head-to-head. We're going to see what they have now. Last time we started off with Tiffany, so this time we're going to lead off with Stephanie Alexis. Come back up, Stephanie.
Venomous, victimized, vacant. Your soul was once a home. Home to beautiful thoughts and ideas and words, but all everyone seems to see is the unwanted house guest lingering in the corner of the kitchen, tracking dirt and scraping tile floors, breaking dishes. All anyone sees is the word positive falling in the letters HIV. All they see is a walking statistic and painful stereotypes, druggy, slut, irresponsible, like you deserve it in some sick, twisted way. But this victim blaming is a way for them to try and rationalize why such a horrible thing could happen to such a good person. Because you can't understand truly until AIDS becomes your identity, that rock in your shoe, always on your mind with every step you take. You wish you could run away and never look back, but AIDS is always going to be faster, and you long for that first place ribbon. Long for acceptance in a world that silences your pain. Venomous, victimized, vacant. Your soul was once a home.
Thank you very much there, Stephanie. All right. It's getting tense now. Judges, what are our scores? Got a 9.2 and a 9.2 for an 18 point. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Did I see that wrong? 9.2 and a 9.2? Judge is trying to mess me up. You see that? Well, you hear that, rather? All right, so it's an 18.4 for Stephanie Alexis. All right. Competition's getting kind of heavy here. But I don't know. Let's see what our next poet does. Let's see what our next poet does. Try and rise above. Let's welcome back up Miss Tiffany Lewis.
Five, four, three, two, one. The months count down that the doctor says she has left to do the only thing she really knows how to do. Live. Haunted by the fear of what others have to say about it, petrified by the thought of an ignorant peer's judgmental eyes glaring deep into the pit of the sickness and regret that is her soul. Her anxiety so high she can't disguise the trauma in her mind, and the voices yelling high, begging, pleading, stay inside, because they do not recognize the beauty that her eyes cannot hide, even when she's so ill that she cannot stand. Her feet are reaching pitches that can't be vocalized, but does anybody not realize that her heart is made of gold and her mind is filled with so much knowledge? She could probably find the cure on her own if she weren't so battered down with no support, hiding from the masses. It's a lonely life when the only ones who seem to understand her are either dying or dead. To watch her climb through life without a glimmer of hope in her eyes, it pains me the way that her body is betraying her. The sting of when he cheats, the throb of when your best friend tells your deepest, darkest secret, saying softly, I'll never tell. Her white blood cells screaming softly will never hurt you as they turn away again, leaving her lonely and stranded and fighting the weight of the world on her own, thrown into the water without a fighting chance, but who cares if she can't swim anyways? Have you ever looked into the eyes of a person who has given up the idea of growing old together, helping her son name the baby her first grandchild? She lost the opportunity to make the mistakes that you and I take for granted. You get pulled over for a speeding ticket and you curse yourself when she would give anything in this world to lose herself on the road again, going 100 miles per hour without a care or worry in the world, ecstatic to take whatever consequence she has to face as long as she can be healthy, young, and free, but she's not. She's sitting in her room alone counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 days that the doctor says she has left to live, to consume herself in the despondence with no point in trying to cheer herself up, because she can only stay as positive as her HIV test that brought in all the negativity that she will feel for a lifetime. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Miss Tiffany Lewis. Judges, what are our scores? A 10 and a 10. Even my basic math don't need a calculator for that one. So we've got 20 for Tiffany Lewis. Gonna give Mr. Law Bullock, who's back there recording scores, give him a minute to get those together. And please. All right. Both of our artists here, they've both done fantastic work. Both of them have come out of just absolute nowhere with poetry. You know, I said before that, you know, one of our other artists is part of this new wave of poetry going on in Fayetteville, a new generation coming up, and these two are both doing amazing things. They're just part of what's happening here in the area. You know, they're just part of it, but they are certainly taking the steps that some others have not yet, and I hope that some will learn from their example. I mean, like I said, I have an actress and a singer-songwriter who both stepped into the world of poetry and stepped into the world of slam and are doing amazing things, and we've got some amazing things planned in store for them. I'm going to call these scores here, but you two aren't done performing yet. I'm going to go ahead and call these scores here, but you two are not done performing yet. Law, what do we have for our final scores?
For Stephanie, we have a 36.7. And for Tiffany, we have a 39.2.
Oh, wow. Kept it close, and that's about how close they were in the preliminaries, too. They were neck and neck. They were right there on top of each other. So we're going to ask them to do at least one more piece each. Okay, all right. Excuses. We asked them to do one more piece each. Now for this, I'm going to do it by coin flip. All right. What I'm going to do is you took it. I'm going to let you call it.
Okay.
All right. Call it in the air.
Tails never fails.
Tails it is. You want to go first? You want Tiffany to go first?
Come on, Tippy Lou.
All right. So, just give us a couple seconds, and we'll let our artists get ready again. And first, Tiffany Lewis will come back up, share another poem, and then we'll be followed by Stephanie Alexis one more time. Here she comes back up. Welcome back, Tiffany, please.
Oh, this isn't timed, is it?
No.
Okay, good. I just wrote this.
Okay. Fresh deep.
I have not. Yeah, right. I haven't practiced it out loud more than like 1 or 2 times. So when I stumble, because it's inevitable, just do it.
Be yourself.
Thank you guys. Y'all are my favorite. I love y'all. Close your eyes. Think for a second. Breathe for a second. Remember for a second. Remember a time where the media didn't spread lies faster than the HIV they're shaming. Back when individuality was valued. Remember when change was okay. Now open your eyes. The time is gone. We've entered a new era. We are the generation where you can't love who you want to love without the fear of being labeled with a disease. And as if you already don't get looks and stares when you hold his hands, now you get the assumption that you're AIDS-ridden just because you love someone with the same chromosomes as you. You love somebody who wears boxers like you do and shaves where you shave. You're the lover, and they're the hater, and all the while demeaning you as dirty and lowly. They don't even know what HIV is. They don't realize that you can be positive and still be a wonderful and amazing person. They fail to see that a disease does not define you because they spend so much time being defined by everything else in this world that is worthy of their labels. We spend the majority of our time caught up in what everyone else thinks. We live our lives surrounded by what they'll say. You'd rather be protected from his anger than protected from whatever secret he may be keeping behind his zipper, because it's easier to just hope for the best than offend his pride, or when he doesn't like condoms, because his pullout game is on point. But how many sexually active people do you know that have been tested, that have asked their partner to get tested? It just doesn't happen like it should. But it could happen to anybody. And when it happens, you're gonna get it. You're gonna fall into the category of people not worth the time of day. Then, as if you already don't, you'll learn the good from the bad people in this world, and you'll be able to spot them from a mile away from certain looks they give other people, certain words they use. They're the type of people who slide their bags into the other chair next to them because they don't want you to sit next to them. But nobody should be told that they can't sit with you because they don't agree with your sexuality. Nobody should be denied love because of the color of their skin. Nobody should be told they aren't beautiful because their stomach isn't flat. And no one should be told they can't have a sip of your coffee because you might spread your AIDS to them. Discrimination is all too real, and who is there to stop it? Because discrimination is just the majority beating and breaking down the minority for whatever reason that they feel you're a threat. That's why all blacks are criminals, right? That's why all whites are racist. That's why all homosexuals have AIDS. Someone out there was too afraid and too scared that they had to put lies into people so that they wouldn't be the crazy ones. They didn't want to be afraid alone, so they made the rest of the world join in too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. And now coming back up for her encore performance, once again, Miss Stephanie Alexis.
Alright, so Art asked me to read a poem. I did last time, but I totally didn't bring it with me. I should have. I don't know why I didn't. I was thinking about it too. But this is one that I wrote this morning, actually, because I procrastinate really, really bad.
It's all right. It's more fresh aid. It's
Right.
more fresh aid.
Work better under pressure. Something I tell myself. Alright. Ignored. Inaudible. Living an illusion of people's ignorance. You're searching for a voice in a world that is covering its ears. La la la, I can't hear you. Why does it matter that 39 million people died at the hands of AIDS? Because if we don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist, right? Wrong. No amount of earplugs can block out the sound white noise simply playing in the background on your laptop while you do your paper that's due in 6 hours. It's head-splitting, ear-shattering, ringing, hurting, no way in hell you can ignore it, deafening. And you are sick and tired of being put on mute. You want to shake the world's shoulders, rip off its blindfold, and scream in its face, I exist. Because if you could mute this, you could. You pray to a God you don't even think exists for a cure or a way out or anything, because it's one thing for others to betray you, but you've been betrayed by your own body and no one seems to understand. Ignored, inaudible, living an illusion of people's ignorance. You're searching for a voice in a world that's covering its ears.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for joining us. Thank you for chiming in with us. We're going to go off air here just in a short second. I'm going to ask Art to pop back up here and close us out with some more details. Please, please, for those of you who get a chance, come back in here tomorrow night. If you're sitting here in the Fayetteville area, Fayetteville, Hope Mills, Spring Lake, Rayford, Cameron, Red Springs, what have you, pop out here tomorrow night, catch the final adult preliminary, or come out July 16th, or tune in online and watch us July 16th as we have the adult finals before we move in to next month's event in Atlanta. Art?
All right. Lastly, before we go, I just want to say to the young ladies again how much I appreciate you all. Your gift is God-given, and I appreciate you having a voice. We can sit back, and LJ, I just want to say what you said, whether you really realize it's so relevant and it touched me, because this is not an LBG issue. This is a people issue. Because one of the things that we're failing to recognize as a people is it used to be a LBGT issue, but today this is a heterosexual black issue, because we're being devastated and we refuse to have honest conversations. So, I heard it too. Well, I'm not going to come out because that's not my thing. Well, if you're having sex, then it is your thing. Because a lot of times we'll have sex we're not even asking what's going on with our partner. Do we have you been tested? We won't even ask basic questions because her body is banging and she got a booty like Serena, and that's all we see. You know what I'm saying? Seriously. Or seriously, or the head game is fire. And because y'all know it gets around. Who packing, who ain't packed, y'all, it gets around. For the ladies, y'all know what I'm talking about. So, we need to get beyond, and we need to get beyond understanding that, but for the grace of God, I'm somebody's brother, I'm somebody's son, and if you might not be infected, but you are affected. And in 2015, if you still living in with your head in the sand, not understanding that you have somebody in your family that's dealing with this issue or dealing with other issues, and you're not being honest, then that's on you. But we got to get beyond that, because, again, our people are dying. And if you're really talking about you're relevant and you care about black lives and black lives matter to you, then all black lives should matter. So, really quickly, the winner of the national, because we have this event going on in 10 states. The winner of the national will be going to the Ritz Theater in Atlanta August 6th. We'll be flying the adult winner out and the youth winner out from the national contest. They will actually have a chance to perform at the Ritz. The artists are going to be various artists that they have bringing in, national artists that they're bringing in. And lastly, if you're out, again, please, if you're over 22, please come out tomorrow for the preliminaries. I'm even opening this up to some poets who I know who are cool. If you can't make it tomorrow, but if I know you're on point, next Thursday the 16th is the finals. I'm even willing to give some poets who couldn't make it to any of the preliminaries an opportunity to share next Thursday and have a chance for the finals, if that's what it's about. But come out to Cumberland Coffee House here in Hope Mills. Juan is an amazing brother. Northstar is amazing. And with that, I'm going to close and say thank you all for listening.